Congratulations! You're born in Sparta, one of the most feared city-states in Greece. Unfortunately, nobody asked whether you wanted to become a warrior. Your first days are surprisingly normal. You sleep, cry, eat, and remain completely unaware that Sparta already has plans for your future. Your family isn't rich, but that hardly matters here. Spartans admire discipline and military service far more than comfortable furniture. As you grow, soldiers are everywhere. You watch them march through the streets and quickly understand what Spartan boys are expected to become. Naturally, you copy them. A stick becomes your spear, a wooden lid becomes your shield, and suddenly you're Sparta's smallest warrior. No soft childhood. But Spartan childhood isn't designed around comfort. Adults expect you to become disciplined, resilient, and useful to the community from an early age. 7 years old. Then you turn 7. In most places, that means more childhood. In Sparta, it means your comfortable life is about to change dramatically. Leaving home. You're entering the agōgē, Sparta's state-organized education system. Your family remains important, but your daily life is about to revolve around training. Goodbye. Your mother watches you leave. You try to look brave, because showing fear isn't exactly the first impression you want to make. You arrive among boys your own age. Congratulations! Your new classmates are also your training partners, competitors, and constant witnesses whenever you embarrass yourself. Discipline. The first lesson isn't sword fighting, it's discipline. Listen carefully, follow instructions, and don't make the instructor repeat himself. Your days fill with running, jumping, wrestling, and physical contests. Apparently being exhausted is now considered part of your education. Wrestling becomes especially important. You quickly discover that the ground of ancient Greece is considerably harder than it looks. You fall, you get up, then you fall again. Nobody seems particularly interested in hearing about how much your back hurts. Everything feels competitive. Running, wrestling, endurance. Winning earns respect. Losing usually means you get another opportunity to practice. Luxury isn't part of the curriculum. Your clothing is simple, your possessions are few, and nobody cares whether you find any of this comfortable. Meals aren't exactly impressive either. Food is practical rather than luxurious. You eat because you need energy for whatever unpleasant activity comes next. But the agōgē isn't only exercise. You learn music, songs, traditions, and how to speak clearly without wasting words. Spartans admire short, clever answers. So if you enjoy explaining yourself for 20 minutes, you were born in the wrong city. Years pass like this. Exercise, competition, education, discipline. Slowly, the small child who left home begins disappearing. By 13, you're taller, stronger, and considerably less surprised when someone tells you to run until your legs stop cooperating. Training becomes harder as you grow. Longer runs, tougher wrestling, more competition, and considerably fewer opportunities to complain. Endurance matters enormously. Heat, cold, exhaustion. The goal is to make discomfort feel less like an emergency and more like Tuesday. You watch the older youths carefully. They're stronger, faster, and much more confident. Soon, you're expected to look exactly like them. Eventually, military training becomes more serious. You begin learning how a shield works as part of a formation, not just as personal protection. The spear. Then comes the spear. It looked much lighter when grown men carried one through the streets. Your arms strongly disagree. The important lesson is simple. You don't fight alone. Your shield protects part of the man beside you, and his protects you. That means survival depends on trust. One person breaking formation can create a problem for everyone. Individual heroics aren't the point. The boys you once competed against are becoming something else. You've trained together for years, and eventually, rivalry turns into brotherhood. You're no longer the frightened 7-year-old who left home, but becoming a full Spartan citizen still requires years of proving yourself. By 18, childhood is definitely gone. You're approaching adulthood, and military preparation now feels considerably less like practice. Training equipment gradually gives way to real military gear. Bronze, wood, leather, everything is heavier than your childhood games suggested. You put on a proper helmet. You immediately feel more intimidating, although seeing and hearing clearly just became noticeably more complicated. The dark red cloak completes the image. The child who once pretended to be a soldier is starting to actually look like one. But looking impressive means nothing if the formation collapses. So you practice the same movements again, and then again. Adult Spartan life also revolves around communal mess groups. You eat with other men, strengthening the social bonds expected of citizens and soldiers. You may look grown, but Spartan education doesn't simply vanish at 18. Your transition into full adult status continues into your 20s. Your father now looks at you differently. Years ago, you watched him carry weapons. Now you can stand beside him with your own. Then the order you've spent your entire childhood preparing for finally comes. This time, nobody is calling it training. You leave Sparta in formation. No cheering arena surrounds you. Just dust, marching feet, and the realization that the weapons are real. You've imagined battle since childhood. Standing here now, you discover imagination conveniently leaves out the waiting, uncertainty, and fear. The command comes. Shields rise together. Suddenly, every formation drill you ever hated becomes the most useful lesson of your life. The lines collide. There's shouting, dust, shields pushing against shields, and almost none of the elegant sword fighting you imagined as a child. You don't chase glory. You stay beside the men you trained with. Today, keeping formation matters more than looking heroic. Eventually, the fighting ends. You're exhausted, filthy, and alive. Suddenly, that last part feels like a surprisingly impressive achievement. You return to Sparta as something you spent your childhood preparing to become, a man with actual military experience. Eventually, you marry. Spartan family life has its own expectations, but military obligations continue to occupy a huge part of your adulthood. Years later, you hold your own son. For the first time, you understand exactly what your parents knew when they looked at you. Then your son turns 7. The age sounds completely different when it belongs to your own child. You watch him begin the same system that shaped you. Suddenly, every lesson, bruise, friendship, and miserable training day comes rushing back. By 30, you've reached full adult standing in Spartan society. The boy who entered the agōgē now belongs among the men who once intimidated him. Now, younger men watch you during training. Apparently, you've become one of those intimidating adults without noticing when it happened. You correct their stance, their formation, and their discipline. Somewhere inside you, your childhood instructor is probably extremely satisfied. Military service remains part of your life for decades. Campaigns come and go, while your equipment slowly collects scratches alongside you. Eventually, running becomes slower. Your knees complain during training. Apparently, Spartan discipline can defeat many things, but not aging. The next generation. Your son is grown now. He stands with shield and spear, just as you once stood beside your father. And suddenly, you see the pattern. Your father trained before you, you trained after him, and now another generation takes your place. In old age, you walk through the same streets where you once played soldier with a stick and a wooden shield. You never chose the world that raised you, but from 7 years old onward, almost every part of your life prepared you for your place within it. You were born a Spartan boy, raised under Sparta's system, and grew old in the society that shaped nearly every stage of your life. Thanks for watching. If you survived Spartan childhood with us, subscribe to Born into History. Who knows what terrible time in history you'll be born into next? See you there.